So, when you hear the term fatty liver disease, what's the first image that pops into your head? I bet for most of you, it's probably a middle-aged person, maybe someone who enjoys a drink a little too often. But what if I told you that that picture is completely out of date? Today, we're going to dive into a silent threat, a kind of epidemic that isn't spreading through bars, but through our everyday modern lifestyles. And it's affecting a truly shocking number of teenagers and young adults. This is the story of a disease that works in silence, until it doesn't. Let's get into it.
You know the answer to that question? It used to be pretty straightforward, but not anymore. The reality today has shifted so dramatically, and it's become a much more complicated and, honestly, a much more concerning issue, especially when we're talking about younger generations.
So take a look at this. It really lays out the massive shift we're seeing. That old image of a middle-aged, heavy drinker with some obvious health problems, it's being replaced by this new reality. We're talking about teens and people in their 20s who don't drink heavily and who, on the outside, look perfectly healthy. This right here is the crucial shift we absolutely need to wrap our heads around. The old stereotype just doesn't apply anymore.
And that's why it's got this really specific name, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or you'll often see it shortened to NAFLD. The name itself tells you the most important part of this whole story. This is a condition that has absolutely nothing to do with alcohol. It's driven by a completely different set of factors. Factors that are, well, pretty deeply embedded in the way most of us live today.
Okay, so if we're ruling out alcohol, then what's actually going on here? What's the culprit? Well, the answer lies in what you could call the modern lifestyle trap. It's this combination of our diet and our daily habits that have just become the new normal for so many of us.
Let's break down exactly what this is. Nice and simple. NAFLD is when an excessive amount of fat starts to build up inside your liver cells. I want you to picture your liver for a second. It's like this incredible, super efficient factory that processes everything you eat and drink. But when it's constantly getting overloaded with certain types of fats and sugars, it just can't keep up. It has no choice but to start storing that excess as fat right inside itself. It's a problem born directly from our diet and our lifestyle.
All right, because number one, and this is a big one, is what we're eating. The convenience of fast food, processed meals, all those packaged snacks, it comes with a serious hidden price tag. They are just loaded with unhealthy fats and massive amounts of added sugars, especially things like high fructose corn syrup, which puts an enormous amount of strain on the liver.
And that leads us right into the next huge culprit, which is just as big a problem: sugary drinks. We're talking sodas, energy drinks, those sweetened juices. A lot of people are drinking these all day long instead of water. Now, the main sweetener in most of these is a type of sugar called fructose. And here's what you really need to know. Fructose is processed almost entirely by your liver, and your liver can convert it into fat incredibly easily. So think about it. Every single time you down one of these drinks, it's like you're express mailing fat-making ingredients straight to your liver's doorstep. And then there's the third part of this perfect storm, our sedentary lifestyle. Just think about the hours we spend sitting, for online classes, for work, gaming, or just scrolling on our phones. All that sitting slows our metabolism way down. And when we're not moving, our bodies are in storage mode. They store fat instead of burning it for energy. You put all that together, the high-sugar diet, the bad fats, and sitting around all day, and you've basically got the perfect recipe for NAFLD. Okay, so now we get to what makes this whole thing so dangerous. It's not just the damage it does, but how it does it. This isn't like a broken bone or a headache. You don't actually feel it happening. It's the silence. That's its secret weapon. And it's that silence that allows it to get really, really severe without you ever having a clue. And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. Your liver is often called the silent organ. And why is that? Well, it's because it has very, very few pain-sensing nerves. Think about it. Other organs will scream in pain when they're inflamed or damaged. They send you a clear signal that something is wrong. But the liver, it suffers in silence. It can be under serious attack, getting fatty and inflamed, and you won't feel a single thing. So you're probably wondering, if there's no pain, are there any signs? And the answer is yes, but they're sneaky. They are incredibly subtle and so easy to just brush off. These are the liver's quiet little SOS signals. Things like feeling tired all the time, even when you know you've had enough sleep, or just a general feeling of being unwell that you can't quite put your finger on. Maybe you have trouble concentrating, or you notice your skin just looks kind of dull. I mean, who wouldn't just chalk that up to being busy, or stressed, or not sleeping well? We'd never suspect that it might actually be our liver quietly crying out for help. But here's the thing. If you ignore those whispers from your liver, the disease doesn't just sit there, it progresses. There is a very clear, well-documented path that an unhealthy liver takes. And it's absolutely crucial to understand these stages because it really shows you why it's so urgent to take action early on. Let's walk through this 4-stage warning. So let's walk through this, step by step. Stage 1 is what's called simple fatty liver. This is just that initial buildup of fat. And the good news? At this point, it's totally reversible with lifestyle changes. But if nothing changes, it can move to stage 2, inflammation, also known as NASH. Here, that excess fat starts to really irritate the liver, causing inflammation and causing liver cells to actually die. This is when the real damage starts. From there, it can progress to stage 3, fibrosis and cirrhosis. Your body tries to heal the damage by creating scar tissue, but this scarring makes the liver hard and stiff and it can't do its job properly. This damage is much harder to reverse. And finally, stage 4 is liver cancer, which can develop from a liver with cirrhosis. This is the devastating outcome of a journey that started silently, probably years earlier. Okay, I know that all sounds pretty grim, maybe even a little scary. But please, don't feel discouraged. Because the absolute most important thing I want you to take away from this is that there's hope. A lot of it. For the vast majority of people, especially in those early stages, this condition is reversible. You have the power to stop this in its tracks and actually heal your liver. So, let's switch gears and talk about the action plan. These are simple but incredibly powerful habits you can start today.
First things first, eat real food. What does that mean? It's simple, really. Choose foods that are as close to their natural state as possible. And at the same time, try to reduce all that packaged and processed stuff. The instant foods, frozen meals, snack cakes, you know the drill. Just making that simple shift will automatically cut down on the harmful fats and added sugars that are overloading your liver.
Number 2, you gotta move your body for at least 30 minutes a day. And look, I'm not talking about running a marathon here. A brisk walk, some stretching, riding a bike, anything that gets you moving will do the trick. The whole goal is just to get your blood flowing and kickstart your metabolism. That helps your body start burning some of that stored fat instead of letting it sit there, taking the burden off your liver.
All right, number 3 might just be the simplest and most powerful change you can make. Choose water first. Your liver is your body's main detox organ, right? And it needs a ton of water to function properly and to help flush out all the junk. So every single time you choose water over a soda or an energy drink, you're doing 2 things. You're avoiding harmful sugar, and you're actively giving your liver the exact tool it needs to do its job.
And finally, number 4. This one is a real game changer. You need to give your liver a break. Think about it. Constant grazing, snacking all day long. That keeps your liver working around the clock, with no time to rest and recover. Creating a period of time every single day when you're not eating gives your liver that much-needed chance to catch its breath and heal.
And this whole idea of giving your liver a rest, well, that's really the core principle of something you've probably heard of called intermittent fasting. Now, don't let the name scare you. This doesn't have to be some extreme diet. It can be as simple as making sure there's a solid 12 to 14-hour window between your last meal of the day and your first meal the next morning. That rest period is prime time for your liver to switch from processing new food to actually repairing itself and burning off some of that stored fat. It's like letting your hardest working employee finally go home and get some rest.
Which brings us to this final thought. For your entire life, your liver has been your silent partner, working tirelessly in the background, 24/7, supporting your health without ever asking for anything in return. It does all this incredible work in complete silence. So considering just how much it does for you, isn't it time you gave it the rest it deserves? Thanks for tuning in.